Are you curious about prospecting as a real estate agent and just wondering how to get started, how to do it, and how to be effective so you actually generate leads, clients, appointments, and most importantly, closings? Well, in this video, I'm gonna go through a complete masterclass so you know exactly what to do to be able to get on the phone, start prospecting, and start generating those appointments that turn into new sales. So let's dive right into it. My name is Chris with the Empire Real Estate YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about building your real estate empire. If you like that kind of content, smash the like button and subscribe. Before we get started, I do want to offer you our free booklet. It's called the Black Book of Real Estate Scripts. Inside, you're going to see a bunch of different real estate scripts that you can use to start your prospecting journey, plus over 20 different real estate objection handlers to help you get through those hard phone calls and set more appointments. So if you want to grab that guide, click the link down below and get your copy. So you want to start prospecting to grow your business. Well, this is the perfect time to start doing so. The reason is a lot of real estate agents are failing out of the business right now. And that gives you the perfect window of opportunity to be able to get market share and start growing your pipeline and your business. But the challenge is you just might not know what to do. You might not know what to say. You might not know how to overcome those hard objections. And most importantly, you might not know how to follow up and build out a pipeline that makes your real estate business more predictable. So in this video, my goal is to show you how to do all of that so you can start building your pipeline and making a more consistent real estate income. Now, I do want to tell you a couple quick positive stories about real estate prospecting. The first one comes from me. When I first got my real estate license 9 years ago, I sat there and I had no idea what to actually do. I didn't know how to get clients. I didn't know any of this stuff. I just pulled the cord on my job, I got licensed, and then I found myself sitting inside a real estate office looking around trying to get help. And I didn't really know how to get help. And everybody just told me like, hey, reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, and try to get business. But that didn't work for me because my friends and family either already had houses they weren't selling and they weren't really taking me too serious because I was only 22 years old, or my friends were really interested in renting and there's really not much money in rentals. That's even if they were interested in doing that. Most of them were interested in partying, going to college, doing all that stuff. So I had to figure out a way to generate business through the phone or through door knocking or through some sort of prospecting. And that's where this video comes in. I'm going to show you how I did that. I'm going to show you how I got my clients, and I'm going to show you how I built my real estate business to be a full-time real estate business that I've been doing for the past 9 years. Now, I gave you some positive things about prospecting and you're probably excited now. But now I want to set some realistic expectations so you know exactly what to expect going into this, because for some people, it's a huge shock. So first things first, what should you expect when you start prospecting? Well, the truth is at first, it's going to be very, very difficult. Probably going to be more difficult than anything that you've done. But what I do want to let you know, on the other side of that is a business that you want, consistent income, and the lifestyle that you're actually looking for when you decided to become a real estate agent. Now, if you don't get through those hard times, then you might be like a lot of the real estate agents that are struggling right now. Those agents are struggling to get deals, they're struggling to get closings, and they don't have a consistent business because they don't have a system behind their business that's fueling it and making it steady. So prospecting can be that engine that makes your business consistent, steady, and stable, or it can be something that you avoid and never get the hang of because it's too hard at first. So you need to decide that right off the bat. But I do want you to set clear expectations and understand that prospecting is very difficult, especially at first. Once you start prospecting and once you get good at it, it's going to get easier and easier and easier. And then you're going to get to a point where it's like second nature. You're on the phone, you get rejection, you get positive feedback, you get good feedback, and it just becomes a system. It's a process. Some people say no, some people say yes. And at that point, you'll probably have your KPIs down, which are called what it stands for key performance indicators. Now, key performance indicators basically will tell you how many calls you have to make, how many conversations you have to have before you actually set an appointment. And then once you set an appointment, how many appointments you have to go on before you sign a contract and get a sale. That's how this becomes predictable. But right off the bat, just be prepared to be rejected. People on the phone are sometimes not nice. But just know that it's not your fault. And a lot of the reason people are not nice is because of the day that they're having themselves. I've had people that I've talked to, that I spoke with, that were super happy. They were super cool to talk to. And then I called them 3 weeks later and they were rude. They yelled at me and hung up. And vice versa. I've had people that have yelled at me and hung up and were really, really rude. And we happened to call them 3 months later and they were super nice. They were super positive. And some even set appointments, came in and ended up buying houses. So don't be super impacted by people's response to what you're doing. You're just doing your job, and don't feel guilty about it like you're asking for something. Really, all you're doing is reaching out, trying to build a relationship and see how you can actually help them with your real estate service. Because at the end of the day, yes, it's real estate sales. You're selling real estate. Real estate's the product. But what you're really doing is you're marketing your service that helps people find their dream home or sell their house and get equity and provide a valuable service. So I don't want you to look at this as if you're calling people trying to sell them something and force something on them, because you're not. And if you look at it that way, you're going to take things a lot more personally. If you just look at it like, hey, I'm just calling to build a connection and market my home services business, which is what you're doing, then you're not going to be as impacted when somebody's super rude, because you're just going to be like, hey, what's that all about? Like, that's weird. That's not normal. And then you're just going to move on. And it's totally okay. So that's the realistic expectations that you're going to have. And also know that when you call people, not everybody's going to answer. You might have to call somebody 7 to 14 times before they answer the phone. You probably will have to mix in phone calls, text message, emails. Everybody communicates in different ways. So if somebody doesn't answer your call the first, second, or third time, it doesn't mean it's time to give up on that lead. So make sure that you have those expectations in place, because if you do, you're going to have a much higher chance of success. And a lot of top performers in the real estate space are doing a lot of prospecting, and they're doing very well. In fact, I've had agents come on my team that I've taught the prospecting method, and they are doing extremely well right now, especially the ones that stick to it. And some are brand new agents that have never written out a contract, that have never done real estate, that some don't even have a lot of sales experience. And they follow the prospecting system, they stick to it, they get through the hard part, they get through the rejection, and they end up building a really good business fairly quickly in comparison to the rest of the real estate industry. The next thing I want to talk to you about is identifying different markets and niches. Now, when you prospect, you can prospect for multiple different things. Think about it. There are all kinds of different real estate. There are people that are landlords. There are people that are looking to buy property as first-time buyers. There are people that are homeowners that have owned their house forever and they're looking to just sell their house and get into something much smaller. Maybe they're downsizing. And then you have other types of buyers that are just investors looking for a good deal. And then you have certain little other niches outside of that, such as commercial property, hotels, things like that. So you got to define exactly what your market is and what your niche is, so you can pick the right lead source and start calling the right people to build the kind of business that you want to build. For example, if you want to become a top listing agent, it doesn't make sense for you to start prospecting for first-time home buyers. Now, that's really something to keep in mind, because when you first start out in real estate, a lot of companies are going to call you trying to sell you buyer leads, people that are looking to buy their first house. And that's fine if you want to work that type of business. But if your goal is to become a listing agent, you're really sending energy in the wrong place, and there's only so much time in a day. So make sure that you're prospecting the right kind of leads to get the results that you want to get. Next, I want to talk to you about building a prospecting database, because the truth is you have to build a business system that is predictable, that isn't going to cost you a fortune to run every single month. So the first thing you need to do is identify what lead sources you're going to be using to build this system out. Now, what I want to do is I want to share with you a couple different options that you could use, and then I'm going to show you what I'm using for my real estate team to build out these systems. So first things first, you're going to need a seller lead generation tool. Now, for seller lead generation tools, there's many out there. There are things like Vulcan 7, Mojo Sells, or even REDX. So for that tool, I use REDX, and our team really likes REDX because you can get a large variety of lead sources. And I'm going to take you into the back end of that and show you that now. So the way we have it set up is we have different folders, different subcategories, and different types of leads within REDX, and then we have it all connected to a power dialer. And the reason we use a power dialer is because we can get so much more done in such a compressed amount of time. So if you want to check out REDX and the different products that they have, there's an affiliate link down below where you'll get different sales and discounts. So make sure to check that out. And let's dive into REDX right now so I can show you what it's all about. So this is REDX right here. And once you click that link down below, you're going to be able to see some different things. There's an affiliate link down below that will get you to this page. And you can check out some different things about REDX. But long story short, we're going to go to leads and we're going to check out the different lead sources that you can get. Now, the package that we have with our real estate team is a package where we get expired leads, for sale by owner leads, geo leads, for rent by owner leads, pre-foreclosure leads, and we also have this add-on tool, which is the power dialer. So that's what we have. This is how we dial so many different people at once. And you can check all that stuff out and see what fits your business. But this is the package we have. Now, I do want to show you what it looks like once you get into the power dialer itself. So here's the system itself. And at first, yes, this is going to look really overwhelming, but once you get in here and start using it for a couple weeks, it's going to be a lot easier to use. And the reason this system is powerful compared to paying for like buyer leads, for example, is because you are going to be able to get a vast amount of data and leads from actual sellers, people that own property, compared to buying individual leads to your website. So we also buy leads into our website, and I'm going to show you that a little bit later, but you're going to see a huge difference in cost. For example, right now, we're paying about $62 per lead, I believe. It changes every day because we get different lead costs for Google, but we're spending about $62 to $68 per lead right now for Google seller leads, which is super high. Now, there are other lead sources out there that are even more expensive than that. But with a system like REDX, you could be into this for a couple $100 and have a ton of phone numbers and leads to call to convert. Now, the downside of this is it's going to take some time and effort. And that's why we use the prospecting system and use the power dialer. Because without that power dialer, it would be almost impossible to even take a dent into these amount of leads. And the truth is, you're going to get a lot more rejection here because this is not an inbound lead. This is not somebody requesting anything. And you're reaching out to them. Now, some of these lead sources that I'm going to show you in here are a little bit more like a hand raiser lead compared to the circle prospecting stuff. But let's break down the lead sources so you can see which one's right for you and which one you feel you want to start building your business with first. So first things first, these are expired leads. So expired leads are pretty much people that decided to list their house and it didn't sell for whatever reason. The agent listed it. It was on the market for a while and the house never sold. Now, firsthand experience, I could usually tell you the reason why it didn't sell is because the agent didn't have the hard conversation and tell them the price that they were asking for was too much. And when that happens, oftentimes homes get listed on the market for too much. The seller has unrealistic expectations and the property never sells. But one of the good things about expired listings is if they are motivated and they do need to sell, you can come in, have that hard conversation, and usually get a sale from it. So this is a good lead source to work. And don't sleep on old expired listings either. Sometimes homes expire 2-3 years back, and you can actually call those leads, have a conversation, and let them know how much equity their home is worth now because the market's going up by quite a bit. And you can have that conversation, and a lot of times it's a really good conversation because the money they were originally trying to get for their house, that high number, is now a low number, and you can get them even more and sell their house quicker. So that's one good thing about being in a market that's going up and up and up as fast as it's going up. The next lead source in here I want to tell you about is Geo Leads. So Geo Leads are really good because Geo Leads are going to give you the opportunity to pick the neighborhood that you want to call in. So with Geo Leads, you can pretty much go in and outline any neighborhood you want. The way it works is you get credits every month and you can go in and you can actually pick the neighborhood that you want to work. So I'm going to show you quick on how to use the Geo Lead tool to actually pick the neighborhood that you want to work in. So from here, you're going to see a map, and I want to show you a couple different tools to look at. First things first, you're going to want to put your address in. So say I picked this one here. From here, you can look at the time of ownership that the person has owned the property in the neighborhood that you're doing a search in. So what I would do is I would say, okay, on average, the average homeowner owns their house for 5 to 7 years. So let's go in here and put 5+ years. So all these people that come up have owned their property for 5 years or more. Next, you want to click here and you want to go down and you want to pretty much pick how many leads you want. So say you want 500 leads to start with. From here, it's going to pull the 500 nearest properties. You go to generate leads, and then what's going to happen is it's going to create a folder when you go back, and then all these folders are filled with leads that you can start calling right away and generating business. That's one of the best parts about it, is that you can just click a button and get all these leads and start using the power dialer to have conversations and build out your pipeline. So this is one of the best ways to get started. The coolest thing is you can pick what neighborhoods you want to sell in. If you want to go sell $1 million homes, go circle prospect around $1 million neighborhoods. It's that easy. So you can really design a business that you want by using this lead source. Next up, we have for sale by owners. For sale by owner leads are tricky. A lot of agents don't like to call for sale by owners because they feel that there's a lot of rejection. They don't like agents. They don't want to pay commissions. But with the right approach and the right skill set, you can set appointments and actually list these homes. I've had numerous conversations with for sale by owners, and some are really easy to convert. Some are just trying this out on their own for the first week or two, and then they're going to pick an agent. And if you're that agent that's steady, consistent, and has strong follow-up and builds a good relationship, you're going to get that phone call and you're going to get that listing. So don't sleep on this lead source, even though a lot of agents downplay it and refuse to call. Next, we have for rent by owners. A lot of agents have no idea how to handle this lead source, but inside of our script book, I have a complete script that you can use to be able to have conversations and flip these leads into possible sellers. So make sure to check that out. And if you want to grab that script book, there's a link down below in the description. And I think that will help you with this lead source. But I had one of these 2 years ago where I had a good conversation. They were thinking about just renting the property out. It was a quick phone call. I said, hey, you know what? If we could get you the money you want for this property and you can net enough money, is this something that you would consider selling? And the gentleman was an accountant. He said, absolutely, let's check it out. We did a quick walkthrough. I prepared a CMA report. So if you don't know how to do that, check out our video on a CMA report. And I sent it out to him. I followed up. He said, all right, I like the numbers, but let me think about it. I really didn't expect to sell this. I was kind of planning on keeping it for a while. And I followed up a week later, and he's like, oh, I'm still thinking about it. I followed up again a week later, and guess what? He listed the house. And then he listed the house. It was in the market for about 2 or 3 weeks. It was a unique home, and we sold it. It was that easy. So don't sleep on this lead source. There are sellers out there that have a lot of equity that are thinking about cashing out on that equity. And it could be a really good lead source for you to get listings in your business. The next lead source you can do is foreclosure leads. Foreclosure leads are really good. So think about pre-foreclosures, foreclosures. These are people that are about to have their house be taken by the bank. And if you can come in there, have a conversation and try to pull them out of that situation and get some money for them and help them, keep a foreclosure off their credit, they'll really appreciate it. So this lead can be a little bit rejected. It can be a little packed with rejection because these people usually are not in the best frame of mind. Sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're upset. But if you have the right mindset going into it, that you truly want to help them, then it could be a great lead source. And an agent on my team is actually focusing on this lead source and is doing very well with it. In fact, she just listed a property last week, and it's a pre-foreclosure lead. Now there's a small time frame, but she worked it out with the attorneys. She had conversations, and it ended up working out really well. And hopefully, we're going under contract on that property this week, and that homeowner is going to be able to get out of that situation. So this lead source could work for you to build out your pipeline. The next thing I want to talk to you about is I want to talk to you about inbound leads. Now, you might be wondering, like, yes, that makes sense, but what if you have more of a budget and you want leads that come to you that are a little bit easier to have conversations with? Well, I'm going to show you a lead source that works really well, and I'm actually going to show you a couple different lead sources. So the first one is Lofty Leads. So Lofty is our CRM, but they also have a marketing team that will run Facebook leads, Google leads, anything that you really want to run. And these leads can come right into your CRM. Now, one of the cool parts about Lofty is you are able to pick if you want buyer leads or if you want seller leads. So if you're an agent that does want to work with buyers, you can totally pick buyer leads. And in fact, they're usually a lot cheaper to get than the seller leads, because with buyer leads, the way they market for them is a lot different than seller leads, and it's a lot easier to capture those leads and get them into your CRM. So let's dive in here real quick, and I'm going to show you the different leads that you can get with Lofty. But what I do want to say is if you're just starting out and your budget is tight, I would wait to do this. You don't want to do this right now because this is going to be a lot more expensive to do than something like REDX. I would start with REDX. I would build your skills with REDX. I would get yourself doing like 2 deals a month with REDX, and then you're probably going to be making yourself some really good money, and then invest in something like this to scale even further. But right off the bat, if you're just starting out with prospecting and you don't have a big budget and you don't have an established real estate business already, I would wait on this. Don't do this right away because it's expensive. And to be honest, there are things way more expensive than this that you can do to market your real estate business. We used to do Zillow. Zillow is another lead source that you can use, but it's very expensive in most markets, and that's why we stopped doing it. It just didn't make sense anymore. Another lead source that you can do is something called ZBuyer. ZBuyer also sells leads, and their leads are not bad. Their price per lead isn't bad at all. A lot of them are geared towards investors, so they're people that want cash offers for their house. But if you have the right script, a lot of people do have success with ZBuyer leads, so be sure to take a peek at those as well. So when we come in here, you're going to be able to see the different kind of leads that you can buy. So once you get to this stage, you can do Google pay-per-click. This lead source is going to perform a lot better. A lot of the times that these people are a little bit more motivated. They're more interested in doing something quicker. They're a little bit further down the sales pipeline. But they're a little bit more expensive. Google pay-per-click leads are a little bit more expensive because there's a lot more search intent, and people tend to be a little bit more serious when you have conversations with them. You can also do Bing. You can do Facebook leads. Facebook leads are really good. You can do Instagram leads. So you can do a lot of different things with this program. One thing that I really found with this platform is you can pick what lead source you want to do, and they can get you leads for a wide variety of prices. For example, when we started out doing our Facebook leads, some of our leads were like $4 a lead for buyer leads on Facebook. Now, we didn't have a ton of conversions with those, and a lot of them were further out. A lot of conversations we were having, we found that the people wanted to buy like a year down the line, but it can be a good way to build your pipeline. If you have the budget to do it, if you just want to start with this system and start doing inbound leads. So you don't necessarily have to start right away and start buying the high-end leads. Maybe you start with a lower price lead source and demo it out and see how you like it. So if you want to check this system out, it's called the Lofty CRM, and there is an affiliate link down below for this as well, where you can schedule a call with the Lofty team, and they'll walk you through this all, and they'll see if it's a right fit for you, or maybe it's not right now and you just stick to REDX. But with that affiliate link, you will get access to different sales and discounts, so make sure to check that out. The last tool I want to tell you about to build out your business is called PropStream. Now, the reason we use PropStream is we're able to access different lists of homes that either have high equity, that have high payoffs, that either have, some people even have high credit card balances that might want to sell their house to pay off those credit cards and eliminate a lot of debt, or even refinance. So if you are calling people and you end up running into somebody that needs to refinance, you can pass them off to lenders that you know. So things like that end up working out really well. Another one that works out really well with PropStream is you can target pre-foreclosure leads as well. So we'll come up with a list in every single city of pre-foreclosures coming up, and then you can actually skip trace for 12 cents per lead and actually get that data and get all the information so you can start making calls with those leads. So PropStream is another great resource to check out. Again, you might not need PropStream right away, but if it's something you want to add on later on, you can do so. It's pretty inexpensive to do. So I would say in terms of like priority, I would put REDX first. You definitely want REDX right away because you can use that and like get a lot of work out for a little bit of money. From there, you might want to tack on PropStream. And then lastly, I would think about doing something with the Lofty leads. So that's the framework I would use to be able to get these leads and start building out your pipeline. And that's in order because, again, you don't want to spend a ton of money right away. The more money you spend, the less time you have to actually make something work, because you're going to be burning through your savings until you start closing some deals. The next important thing I want to talk to you about is actually turning this into more of a system. Now, you need to organize all this. You're spending all this time prospecting, you're spending all this time having conversations, but you need to organize it and put it into something where you can keep track of everything. And that's where your CRM comes in. Now, you don't need a super fancy CRM to start, but what I would do is highly suggest you get some kind of CRM. There are tons of CRMs out in the marketplace. The one we happen to use is Lofty CRM, but there's a lot of real estate CRMs. So you can check those out and see which ones you like best. They all come with pros and cons. In my opinion, I really love using Lofty, but I would check out multiple CRMs to see which one fits your budget, which one fits your needs, and which one is right for you. So make sure you do that and get that system built out right away. Now, what I want to do is I want to give you a quick overview of how we have our system built out so that you can follow those steps and start building yours out so you can keep track of everybody in your pipeline. So first things first, we have hot sellers, warm sellers, and cold sellers. So hot, warm, cold. If you talk to somebody and they're thinking about selling something in 3 months, that's a hot seller. Anything 3 months or less is a hot seller. You want to put them in that bucket and you want to stay on top of them for follow-up, and then hopefully push them down into an appointment, and then the appointment turns into an actual listing, and then the listing turns into a sale, the sale turns into a paycheck and a happy past client. So that's what you want to do. But there's warm and then there's also cold. Warm is somebody that wants to buy in 6 months or less, so 3 to 6 months, and then cold is anything like 6 months or more. So that's how you organize it and you fill up these buckets within your pipeline. From here, you want to have that same system, but for buyers. So if you're going to run into buyers, you're going to talk to buyers, you're going to want to build out that pipeline for buyer leads as well. So hot, warm, cold. So once you have that all set, I would build out a bucket for your lender handoffs. So if you talk to anybody and they need to get pre-qualified, they need to get pre-approved, well, what happens next? You hand them off to a lender and they work on getting them pre-qualified. But if you're working with a lot of leads, you might forget, right? I've had so many times where our team has handed off like 20, 30, 40 buyers in a month, and we lose track of them, right? We totally lose track of them. So the challenge with that becomes, how do you actually keep track of all this? Well, as you get busier, these systems become more and more important. So you want to have a bucket for lender handoff so you can click it and see exactly who's working with a lender to get pre-qualified, so you can follow up, see how their experience is going, make sure that they're happy with the lender, make sure that everything's going well, and then you want to check in with the lender and have those same conversations and see how far they are from actually being pre-qualified to be able to buy a house. So make sure you have that set up. Category you want to have signed buyers and signed sellers. So these are actually signed clients that you worked all the way down the pipeline, got through your appointment phase, and you signed them on. So now you are their agent, you are good to go, and now you're servicing these clients. From there, you're going to want to make a pipeline for your closed transactions, and those closed transactions are basically going to be people that you got all the way to the finish line. You got a commission check, you got paid, you're happy, and you're building your real estate empire. So that's the whole goal of this system. And then we have other buckets here too that I can go into in further videos, but I don't want to overwhelm you with stuff. There's a lot here to go through, and just to start off, this is going to be way too overwhelming and it's just too much. So I'll go through that in other videos. If you want to see more of this stuff, make sure to drop a comment in the comment section below saying go into more detail on the CRM, and I can put together something specifically for CRM trainings. So that's how I would build out the framework of your pipeline. And this is just a basic overview. There are a lot of different things that go into this, like follow-ups and sequences and smart plans, but I don't want to overwhelm you. Just build out a basic bare bones system to get your business off the ground. Next, let's talk about effective prospecting techniques. Okay, this one's important because a lot of people get on the phone and they get shaken up real quick. People hang up, people throw objections, people do all this stuff. So what I would highly suggest you do is I would suggest you find a role play partner. Now, this is somebody that's going to be able to prospect with you, sit on the phone with you, do some role play back and forth. One person is the agent, one person is the seller, but you can actually go back and forth and practice. And what you want to do is you want to write down common objections, and then you can go through how to handle them objections with your role play partner. So this is really important because it's going to sharpen your skills, and when those objections come, you'll know how to handle them right away. You won't get thrown off. You won't get shaken up. You won't sound like you're reading from a script. None of that's going to happen, okay? So make sure that you do this part because it's super important. Because if you get shaken up so many times, you might get discouraged and you might stop calling because it's very easy to just wake up and say, I'm not calling today. And you wake up again, I'm not calling today. Wake up again, I'm not calling today. And before you know it, your business is doing nothing. You're stressed out because sales are not happening and you just don't know what to do. So I would highly suggest that you find that prospecting partner right away. And you can do this pretty easily. Just go to your broker, go to whoever's in your office, have a conversation, and find people in your office that also want to prospect. And once you do that, your broker's probably going to know a couple people right off the bat, and then you guys can connect, go to coffee, and make this thing happen. Last but not least, I want to talk about handling the consistency problem with real estate prospecting. Like I mentioned before, one of the biggest challenges with real estate is you don't really have accountability. And as an agent, you're your own boss, and that's why you signed up for this. But it's a double-edged sword. And because of that, a lot of people don't show up, they don't prospect, and when things get tough, they tend to run away from it, and they never end up prospecting and building the business that they want. So a quick exercise for this is let's write down the amount of time you're going to prospect per week, right? From there, we can decide how many calls you're actually going to be able to make per week. Now, if you're hand dialing, I've seen agents on average call about 30 leads per hour, 30 to 40 leads per hour if they're really working and staying focused. Now, if you're doing a power dialer, like a single line power dialer, you're probably going to be closer to about 90 to 110 calls per hour if you're circle prospecting. And if you're hand dialing like expireds or for sale by owners, your numbers are going to be a lot lower, maybe 15 leads per hour, 20 leads per hour, but you're probably going to have a lot more conversations because those leads are expecting a phone call and you're going to have a much higher answer rate and a much higher conversation rate, which means that those calls will probably turn into more appointments and you'll have to do less of them to get the result that you want. So from here, you want to see what you're doing. Are you using a power dialer? Are you not using a power dialer? And calculate how many calls you can make per hour. From there, you're going to look at your calendar and you're going to say, how many days a week can I commit to prospecting? I would say at least 5 days a week if you're full-time and you're taking this serious. Full-time, 5 days a week. And from here, you want to block off 2 to 3 hours a day. It could be 9 to 11, and you could do 1 hour block from 5 to 6 or 6 to 7. And then you can say, okay, I'm using a power dialer for the majority of this. I'm using a power dialer from 9 to 11. So I'm going to do 200 calls in the morning and I'm going to do another 30 calls at night. Then we want to do that times 5. That puts you at over 1,000 calls per week. You can do a lot with 1,000 calls per week. You can take a lot of rejection. You can take a lot of conversations. You can learn a lot because you're going to know exactly what people are saying and you can sharpen your skills that much quicker and you can really make this thing happen. So from there, you want to check your KPIs. So that's your key performance indicators. That's you saying, I'm going to make 1,000 calls per week and you're going to commit to that. And every day from 9 to 11, you're going to be prospecting. If somebody wants to see a house, can't do it. I'm prospecting. Or if you absolutely need to do that, then you need to move that block, put the showing in there or whatever you have to do if an emergency happens, and then put that block somewhere else. You can slide that block up, but just try to be as consistent as possible, okay? The more consistent you can be, the better results you're going to get. And if you're not consistent, you're probably not going to get any results. The way this works is the agent that follows up the most, that does the most calls, that has the most conversations, and that builds the most relationships, ultimately builds the best, most stable, steady business. And that's what you want because real estate can be really fun. It can be a great business. It can give you the lifestyle flexibility that you're looking for. But if you don't have a consistent income, it can be super stressful. I've been there. When I first started out, I had no idea what I was doing and I struggled. It's one of those things where you can struggle really hard in this business. There's a lot of sleepless nights if you don't know where your next commission check's coming from. And it's super important to be consistent. So all in all, I hope that this video inspired you to start prospecting. I hope that it gave you some encouragement. Definitely check out that script book to get you started and just chip away at this, right? It's a step in the right direction. And I think that it will really help your business, especially in these tough times that we're facing right now, where rates are high, home prices are high, there's not a lot of inventory in the market, and a lot of agents are struggling to leave in the business. They're having to get part-time jobs. So this video, I hope it helps. And if it does, definitely smash the like button and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And it shows me that the video is valuable, and I'll continue to kind of make this kind of content. Thanks again for tuning in, and you have an awesome day. Thank you for watching the Empire of Real Estate YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about real estate and entrepreneurship. So if you like that kind of content and you haven't subscribed yet, smash the like button and subscribe. And before we go, there isn't a video over here that we think you'll like, so be sure to check that out as well. Thanks so much for tuning in, and you have a great day.